Juhakkei. What we're going to be taking a look at during this session is the ninja's Bo-Ryaku, right? Bo-Ryaku. I don't know if you can see that or not. If you're on a small device, maybe not. Maybe expand your picture a little bit. Bo-Ryaku. This is not the same as you might see on a list of samurai or skills within bushido. Right? In bushido, the word is hei-ho, right? Don't mispronounce that, okay? Hei-ho, H-E-I-H-O, okay? That has to do with military tactics and is really about how you're using your resources and your assets and how troop movements and things like that, right? So the confusion comes in when people overly simplify things, especially into English, right? Because I've seen lists where hei-ho is listed as, it could be military strategy or it's just listed as strategy, right? And Bo-Ryaku, right? Very often, you'll just see it as like strategy, right? But as you'll see here coming up, there's a lot of depth to this that really points to a wide array of applications, as opposed to just being something that, I don't know, it's just a quick learn. Okay? So this Bo-Ryaku is one of the Ninja Juhakkei, right? The 18 skills or skill levels or training areas or whatever within the Togakure-Ryu of ninjutsu. There were lots of ninja schools and ninja lineages, ninja Yuha, whatever, throughout Japanese history. But very often, they might have just been put together very, very quickly because there was a battle going on in that area, or it was regional, or it was connected to a particular leader or lord. And very often, they were highly specialized in things, might have been espionage or information gathering or whatever. But the point is that they didn't necessarily have what a lot of people think of within the realm of ninjutsu today that actually comes from this Togakure school. And that's like self-defense techniques and actual hand-to-hand combat and weapons and whatnot. Because ninjutsu in that realm is all about information gathering, espionage, those kind of things that we read about or see in cool movies and stuff like that, right? The Togakure-Ryu is a very, very robust system where there's things for, we'll call it operating in many different realms. How about that? Okay. Survivability on all fronts. Okay. So Bo-Ryaku is one of these 18. I have a book coming out here pretty soon that is Seishin Teki Kyoyo, which is spiritual refinement, personal development, whatever. It's also one of the Juhakkei. It's typically listed as number 1 in the Togakure school, right? Because if you don't get your inner shit together, you can really get lost in all the negative combat stuff that goes on in ninjutsu, but you can also fall for fantasy stuff and all kinds of things. To me, out of the 18 skill sets, everything is dependent upon Seishin, and everything is embedded with and by Bo-Ryaku. Everything. Okay? I've often said over and over again, if you've been following this or my Kuden podcast, or you're one of my students, that everything in ninjutsu is Kyujutsu Tenkan. It's all where we're disguising truth and falsehood, and there's nothing is ever what it looks like, kind of thing, right? And so that's this kind of thing. So the ninja have very different way of looking at things and being able to use absolutely anything, including the attacker's own belief system, preferences, personality, weaknesses, needs, all kinds of things, right? Against them, okay? Because the ninja often found themselves, just like most of us today, find ourselves in an overwhelm situation. What I mean by that is between authority, law, that kind of stuff, and who knows, depending on where you live, right? Gangs and criminal organizations, and just the fact that I'm 5'6", and I know I'm a little heavier and whatnot. I just turned 62, so I am not, right? I'm not in a position or a place typically age and all that kind of stuff, right? To be dealing with 20-something gangbangers or the guys that, just got out of prison. And what that means, besides their crime, besides the fact they were behind bars and all that, is that almost every day they were out in the yard or in a gym pumping iron or sharing ideas with other criminals that were in, right? There's like a breaking and entering class at the East Wall at 1 p.m. and somebody's teaching tricks, and a lot of shit goes on, right? It's almost like a correspondence course without a correspondence. You don't have to mail it in, okay? Anyway, so let's jump into this, right? So my objective for this training session is to teach on how to use strategic thinking and tactics to avoid direct engagement and to leverage the principles, the ninja's principles of deception and manipulation for real world modern self-defense. Okay. So real quickly here, let's just kind of jump into this, right? So again, the term is Bo-Ryaku. So let's break this down. I like to do this a lot. This is my sloppy handwriting when it comes to writing kanji, but this gets broken down into two kanji, right? The one for Bo and the one for Ryaku, right? So what do those things mean? What I want to do is I want to come at this from what do they mean literally, right? Kanji, and then what's implied in this realm of training, okay? It's very different, okay? So Bo itself is strategy. This is not the same Bo as like the one for stick or staff, right? People in English will only look at like romaji, or they hear a sound, but I mean, it's normal, it's natural, it's what we did as children, right? We hear tree and we hear treat because we're not, experts at the language yet, right? Mom says, "Do you see that tree?" And you're like looking around for a cookie, right? Not the same, okay? I know how people in the U.S. here like to say like close enough for government work and all that, which is bass backwards way of looking at something that meant something completely different in when it was originally invented, right? So strategy, scheme, well, that's different, right? Plot, that's different, right? And plan, okay? And then Ryaku, right? Ryaku, tactics, maneuver, shortcut, right? Tactics, maneuver, shortcut. A lot of people are all about shortcuts, of course. Outline, which kind of goes in with the plan, right? It's an outline, so we're not looking at specifics or like what's the official right way to do it, Sensei. Not outlined, outline. Right? And what was the other one I had? Oh, simplification. Simplification. Okay, so there's lots of realms where we say usually, right, the simplest and most obvious thing is probably it. Okay, a lot of my corporate or people that know me in the corporate realm, when I'm dealing with like workplace violence and going in and doing consulting and advising and all that, have often said that I use this Occam's razor approach where like trim the fat, right? Let's get there as quickly as possible without being lazy, covering our bases and making sure that this is implemented very, very quickly. It's kind of backwards from the way most consultants do it because most consultants get paid by the hour. So the longer I work on it, the more I get paid. But in the security and protection world, the longer I work on it, the longer they don't have a complete system. So I don't charge by the hour, I charge by the value of project, right? And so here's what your return on investment is. Anyway, all right, so literal translation then is a strategic plan, or we could say, let's see, strategic plan or a tactical scheme. Tactical scheme. Okay, probably can't read my writing, but I like putting things on a whiteboard anyway, right? So that's a literal translation, right? But what about what's implied? Okay, the implied definitions within Bo-Ryaku. And again, how are we defining this? How are we defining this term of self-defense? Okay. When new students come to me, I don't care if it's in the dojo or if it's in my online inner circle program, working on black belt, not working on black, I don't care, right? One of the first resources they get is a list known as the 8 phases of strategic self-defense action or strategic self-defense, right? So these eight areas, right? And it's not 8 different types of techniques. It's not 8 different maneuvers or whatever. It's 8 phases or 8 opportunities or 8 different requirements, 8 different types of self-defense, right? We're going to talk about that toward the end, but the first one is general awareness, okay? The first problem is understanding the problem. Most people go, I want to learn how to fight, I want to learn self-defense or whatever. They just go to somebody that's advertising it, or my dad's military buddy, whatever, right? Okay, but what do you need it for? Okay, what kind of situations might you run into? Okay, I just did a meme and posted it for those of you on Facebook. Posted one. It's not one version. I just have the web address for the dojo, and then I have one for our online stuff. But it's the same meme, right? And so there's a picture on it and says, "A fight's a fight." What fighters think we mean when we say self-defense. And then the bottom picture, right? And of course that picture at the top, right? 2 guys they're gonna slug it out, right? And the picture at the bottom has some gangbangers staring at you, and a couple of them have weapons out. And that one is something like, but this, right? This is what people that are afraid of dangers in the world are trying to learn when it comes to self-defense, okay? And then alongside just says huge difference, okay? So again, what do we mean? So general awareness goes way beyond just like, I know that danger exists in the world and it might touch me or somebody I love. Yeah, duh. But what does that look like, right? What are the most likely attacks to come? Different personality types, different sizes, different scenarios, different environments, whatever. It's way different than hopping into a freaking ring or always fighting the same way and always fighting different people who fight the same way that you, right? It's very, very different, okay? So within the Ninja's Bo-Ryaku area, we're also talking about strategic thinking. Okay, we're talking about deceptive planning. We're talking about holistic problem solving, right? Not just coming up with an answer, right? Subtle manipulation, long-term vision, contingency preparation, right? What are your plans B through Z? Exploiting weaknesses, shaping perceptions, right? Controlling his perceptions, creating opportunities, resourcefulness, that kind of thing. Depth and scope beyond fighting just blows this out of the water, because now we're looking at things like psychological manipulation, conflict avoidance, right? Because phase 3 in that 8-phase framework that I give people, phase 3 is escape to safety, right? Because the reality is sometimes, and there's a lot of situations that you can't fucking survive, right? If you stay, if you fight. There's also situations that I might be able to win or survive, but I can't with my wife cowering behind me, or me trying to worry about her safety at the same time, or my 5-year-old grandson panicking and grabbing a hold of my leg and that kind of stuff. That's the time to frickin', we got to go. Okay, check please. All right. Environmental advantage, social engineering. Okay, of course, in the ninja's realm, espionage and intelligence. In my realm, in the corporate world as a consultant, this is why I gravitated to this direction, not as security consultant, right? Crisis management, right? Diplomatic negotiations, not just if you're in government and you're doing a diplomatic kind of thing, right? Diplomatic negotiations is, how do I get what I want? They get something out of it, right? And we all kind of benefit. Yeah, we had to give up something to get something or whatever, but right, how do we avoid going to war, over this situation, right? It also includes post-conflict recovery, right? And that could be everything from in the 8 phases, phase 7. Phase 7 is post-incident recovery. You could end up dealing with PTSD. You could also end up dealing with family members who trusted that you could protect them, but after watching the monster come out to protect their ass, now they're terrified and won't want to hang out around you at all. Okay? How do you resolve that? Especially if it's people you really care about. And I don't give a shit about whatever. At least I saved their ass. Yeah, okay. Right. And then again, we have legal and social strategy. Okay. So again, in the 8 phases, one of the self-defense realms. Self-defense in that PTSD realm is my own system backfiring on me. And I need to be able to protect myself from this condition, right? Legal and social still kind of bleeds over to the family members kind of thing where they're doing the PTSD, but now they're rearranging or there's a safety thing, right? Imagine protecting people and an ex decides they're going to start a legal process to keep you from your kids because you're obviously not safe. You've got this monster inside. I know it's fucked up, but it happens all the time. Okay. So you're not an abuser, you're not anything like that, but they're going to use this against you. Okay. But also you got the legal system as well. Okay. Phase 8 in the 8 phases is protecting yourself against the very system that's supposed to be in place to protect us against the bad guys. But at any turn, these things could shift against you, right? Anyway, so Bo-Ryaku encompasses basically what we could call the art of thinking ahead and controlling the narrative, right? In his head, in the heads of witnesses to the thing that's happening, okay? And using all available resources, tools, whatever, not just physical skills, not just the different parts of my body and all that kind of stuff, right? Anything and everything at hand that fits that context, right? And that's where the strategic thinking comes in, right? I've got all this shit, but what's the best one for this one to get this handled effectively, efficiently, relatively effortlessly, and with the least amount of wear and tear on me in the process? Because I'm going to be no good to anybody if I got damaged, right? This is kind of summed up in there's a quote in the scrolls. It's called the Ninpo of Ninjutsu, right? That kind of threw me off and I had to think about that for a while. But there are these 3 incidents where they're determined to be a good, a poor, or a fair perseverance, right? Nin, right? And one of those is if in my attempt to elude or protect from danger, if I injure the enemy and also do things that result in my own injury, that is a poor perseverance. Right? What that points to is direct confrontation and playing the sluggo. I'm willing to take one to get one kind of thing. And it's that brute force kind of thing. In ninjutsu, that's seen as, okay? I understand sometimes you might have to do it, but ninjutsu, it's like this is a rare occasion. Very, very rare. Okay. All right. So again, we're using